So Spicebomb by Viktor and Rolf is a fragrance that came out in January of 2012. I purchased it right when it first came out. I think this is an amazing fragrance composed by Olivier Polge, definitely one of his best. And of course, the flankers have been pretty consistent over the past decade or so. Of course, we have the extreme version, we have Night Vision, we have Night Vision Eau de Parfum. We also have a few collector's editions, if I'm remembering correctly. Well, this year in 2021, we have the brand new Spicebomb. This one is Spicebomb Infrared by Viktor and Rolf. I'm excited to tell you about it, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my fragrance review of Spicebomb Infrared by Viktor and Rolf, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, if you like fragrance reviews here on YouTube, but also top 10 videos, giveaways, unboxing, special guests, and more, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. And of course, while you're at it, please be sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. So of course, I'm a huge fan of Spicebomb. Anybody who knows me, anybody who has been following my channel knows that I absolutely love this stuff. I bought it right when it came out. This is actually the very first batch. You can look it up. It's 38J103. If you use checkcosmetic.net or anything like that. And I really love this fragrance. You have the cinnamon, you have the elemi resin, you have the tobacco, you have the pink pepper, you have that icy accord, but then you also have that fiery accord that adds a little bit of spice with that pimento note or paprika. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I know it's like a pepper note. And of course here we have a lot of those same ingredients. I think when I saw the note breakdown, instead of having elemi resin, they have benzoin now. So some of the ingredients have been substituted for others, but for the most part, it's pretty similar with the exception that in the opening, they added red fruits. And if you look at the ad campaign for it, you see the bottle and then right next to it are like some red berries, if I'm not mistaken. It could be pink peppercorns, but it looks like red berries and then you have a pepper. And anyway, so this is perceived to be a slightly fruity, but still spicy fragrance. And of course, I purchased mine from either Macy's or Nordstrom, I don't remember. But I purchased this recently and I've been wearing it and I'm excited to tell you what I get from it and how I feel about it. But let's start things off with the presentation. So here's the thing, as soon as this fragrance opens, I think you're going to be reminded of the original. There's something about this fragrance that actually does bear a pretty strong similarity to the original. I'm not going to make this a comparison video or anything like that, but I do find that it does bear a similarity to the original, unlike Night Vision and unlike Night Vision Eau de Parfum. So those two kind of went in a different direction. So Night Vision was kind of like in the vein of Invictus Aqua by Paco Rabanne. Night Vision Eau de Parfum was in the vein of Azzaro's Wanted by Night. And so they kind of implemented different DNAs, but here we have something that went back to the original. So this one does smell similar to the original, in the sense that you get that burst of cinnamon in here. You get a little bit of a leathery nuance, and I think that that's coming from the saffron, and saffron is definitely a note in both of them. You also have that rosy tobacco quality in here that is found in the original. Definitely having a little bit of sweetness in the base too, which I think is what made the original and what I think is also going to make this one a really good fragrance for the club or nighttime or a party or something like that. Definitely a youthful smelling fragrance without relying too heavily on coumarin or tonka bean. As a matter of fact, there's no tonka bean or vanilla for that matter in this note breakdown. But you do have that sweetness underneath it all, and I think it's kind of bolstering the other ingredients up a little bit. So I guess the overarching question is, so what's the difference, right? What is the difference between Infrared and the original? I do get a fruity nuance in the opening. There's something sweet, there's something a little bit fruity, and the fruitiness is a little tart, but it also has a little bit of sweetness too. And I think this sweetness is being anchored down to the base by whatever is in there that is giving it that sweet vibe. I know benzoin sometimes has the propensity of being a little bit sweet, albeit also a little bit smoky, a little bit medicinal, depending on how much of it is used. But there's something a little fruity about this one. Now, there are a lot of people online who are comparing this one to like Big Red Gum, and I can kind of see where they're coming from, and I guess it's because of the cinnamon that's in here. But cinnamon is also found in the original, which I actually sprayed here because I wanted to do a side-by-side. And I would say the original is a little bit fresher. Now, here's the funny part. I don't think Spicebomb is a fresh fragrance at all. I know as far as the marketing is concerned, there's like an icy component. If you read up the ad copy for the original, that's kind of what Olivier Polge says, the perfumer. He says that he tried to combine like an icy accord with like a fiery accord. And I can see what he means by that with the citrus in the opening, but I don't necessarily get cinnamon as the spotlighted note in this fragrance. I really think it's a combination of things. I think you get the spice from the saffron, that leathery component. You get the tobacco nuance in the base, which kind of adds this warmth to the fragrance. You have the resinous sweetness in the base as well. And it's a very well put together fragrance. I would definitely say though, this one is sweeter than the original. The original is a little fresher, despite the fact that it's not a fresh fragrance as far as classification is concerned. But I would go ahead and conclude by saying that I think both of them are appropriate for the same exact seasons, same exact scenarios. I would say there's maybe like a 20% difference. There isn't a huge difference. And I would say the same thing about this one or the original in relation to the extreme version. I think Night Vision is where they really sort of flew off the deep end and created something really, really different. I just think in the case of this one, it's still pretty similar to the original, but I like it. And that's because I like the original. So kind of by default, I'm liking the DNA of this one. It's funny because there was a fragrance by Rayanne Tradition called Insurrection Dark. And I feel like although that fragrance was trying to be a clone of this one, I can actually pick up on something in this one that reminds me of Insurrection Dark. So I kind of feel like Insurrection Dark is closer to this one than the original, which is the fragrance that it was actually intending to be a clone of, but I digress. Anyway, I like this one. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, well guys, you know this one is a flanker, and so we're not expecting something that is 100% unique, but it does smell good to my nose. I think it's a subtle variation of the DNA of the original, and I certainly appreciate that. I have always been a fan of this one for as long as it's been out. I know some people talk about the more recent formulations and how they're not lasting as long, and I totally sympathize with that faction of people. And so this one gave me comparable performance, I would say. So let's talk about longevity. I got about 6 hours on my skin. It's not monstrous or beast mode, but I was able to smell it on me. I did about 5 sprays on my shirt today, and I can still smell it now, but I actually did find myself reapplying at around lunchtime, and so make of that what you will. Projection on this one is pretty good for the first hour of application. Never really radiated beyond an arm's length, but I feel like while it was on skin, you are going to get noticed. And then of course, in terms of the versatility, I think it's good for the colder weather, just because there's something about this one. Maybe it's a cinnamon, maybe it's a spicy and sweet elements that remind me of the autumn, but I guess you can wear it in the spring too. I probably just wouldn't wear it outdoors on like a really, really, really hot summer day. I think this one can be worn casually or formally, especially once it starts to hit discounters. I would say totally you can wear it casually. It's definitely an everyday type of a fragrance. Some people though, they might have an apprehension about wearing this one in an office setting just because it's a little bit too sweet, but I do find it to be pretty versatile, and despite the fact that it's marketed for men, I can see a very confident woman wearing this one with no problems. In terms of the presentation, I kind of like how they're keeping with that Spicebomb narrative or concept, if you will. So it's kind of conceptual in nature, where they did night vision and now they're doing infrared, and I wonder what they're going to do next, right? Like if they create another flanker that is not like an extreme or a noir or a sport or one of these other designations that have been done ad nauseum in the perfume industry. But I actually really like the infrared concept, and of course the bottle is red, and so it totally matches. So my final verdict on this one is I think it's a great scent. I really like it. I'm glad that I purchased it. I see myself using it a lot. It's a little bit sweeter than the original. The performance is tantamount to the original. I think this one is going to be to many people's likings if they are a fan of the original. And I guess the ultimate question is, which one should I purchase, this one or the original? Well, you know, it's all a matter of personal preference. I do think it's subjective. If you're interested in picking up the flavor of the week, so to speak, I would say get infrared. You can also guarantee that you're going to smell a little bit different from other people, but inevitably it's going to be a familiar DNA because I do find it to be quite similar smelling to the original. So anyway, I like this one. There you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for watching. That was my review of the brand new Spicebomb Infrared by Viktor and Rolf. I really hope you took something of value from this video. I really hope that my review helped you understand the smell of this fragrance a little bit better. If it did and you're not subscribed to this channel, please do consider showing your support by subscribing. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. And of course, while you're at it, please be sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. And also, if you would like to see me do a comparison video between the new infrared and the original, let me know and I would love to do that as well. Thanks again for watching. Love you all. We'll see you